Welcome to tonight's live. I'm very grateful that you've showed up tonight. We were just saying that we're all sitting here with fans on, feeling absolutely boiling. And we know that there's probably places that you'd rather be. So we're delighted that you've taken your evening to spend it with us. And I'm delighted to have Hanni with us, Hanni Gardiner, who is our guest from Pink Spaghetti and founder of Pink Spaghetti, Caroline. So welcome to both of you too.
Hi. Hello.
Um, we'd very much enjoy and be happy to see you. So if anyone wants to turn on their cameras, we'd love to talk to you. We obviously totally understand if you don't, but it's always nice to see faces. So we also would love to hear your questions. So if you've got any questions, just pop them in the chat as we go along. We probably won't come to them until the end, but just pop them in the chat. And then if we do have time, we'll answer them at the end. And if not, we'll follow up with you afterwards. It's just another few people waiting in the waiting room, so let me just let them in, then we can get started. So obviously really happy to be back here with Pink Spaghetti. They're one of our partners, flexible working people partners. We've been working together now for I think 3 years,
Yeah,
and it's been a really lovely partnership. I think we both have a lot of mutual respect for each other. And when
totally.
I first came across Pink Spaghetti, I was blown away by what they did. And I didn't really understand franchises and what franchise was. And I think really they've opened my eyes to what it is. And I'd love Caroline to spend a little bit of time just at the front end, just talking to people about what a franchise actually is. Because I think there's some preconceptions. We think about McDonald's and all sorts of other franchises, but we don't really know what the model is. So I thought it'd be interesting to talk about that. Um, but also, what Pink Spaghetti do is they offer an opportunity for people to set up their own business in a way that's accessible with support that makes it much easier to do. And we know that there's so many people in our community who want to find different ways of working, who crave setting up their own business, who don't really know what they want to do next and find themselves at that stage where I know I want something different, but I don't know what I want to do. And they're exactly the sort of people that Pink Spaghetti love. And if you talk to any of their franchisees, they would all say, I was doing this and now I'm doing that. I came across Pink Spaghetti and I'm using all my skills and now I've launched this business and it's just transformed them. And so that's why this is really exciting and that's why I really love doing what I do with them. And we've had quite a few flexible working people join Pink Spaghetti.
Yeah,
And we've had some of them join our webinars. But tonight we've got Hanni join. And the reason why we like Hanni's story is because it talks to a different aspect of becoming a virtual assistant. Now, Hanni set up her own virtual assistant business as an independent VA before she joined Pink Spaghetti. She's not been long with Pink Spaghetti. She's actually just come out of training, which is also really interesting. So we all have to be really like nurturing and warm and give her welcome. She's literally just come out of training and we've hauled her on tonight to have a chat. But why we wanted her to come on is because I know that many of you who are thinking about setting up virtual assistant businesses might be thinking, do I go the independent route or not? And that's why we thought it would be great to have Hanni on just to share her story. And she's just going to tell a really honest account of what her journey was before, what led her to Big Spaghetti, and why she made that decision. And I think that that will really help some of you who are thinking about whether this is right for you or not. So that's my blur intro. But before I move into to introduce Hanni properly, I thought it would just be really helpful for Caroline for you to start us off with just tell us a little bit about Pink Spaghetti so people know who you are and why you
mhm,
set it up.
yeah,
And just maybe a little bit about what is a franchise. So for those people who aren't so familiar with it, they can get an
yeah,
understanding.
yeah, absolutely. And hello, everybody. So I set up Pink Spaghetti with a business partner 17, nearly 18 years ago in the Cheshire area. And we set the business up because we wanted flexible working around our then very, very young families. We'd both come out of corporate careers. We were highly organised, felt we had lots to offer, but didn't want the corporate life. So we set it up initially to support homeowners with their busy tasks, but we very quickly went into helping small business owners, of which there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions, across the country. Micro businesses, not even what the government call small businesses, they're micro businesses. They're typically one and two man bands. And we do an array of tasks right from the very beginning. Variety was definitely on the agenda every single day. Every business owner is different. Every task we do is different. So we set that up, and Vicky and I ran that for a couple of years. And it worked. We worked out what didn't work, what did work. We made our mistakes, and there were many of them, as with any small business. But we also learned what worked. And as we grew our business, we started to look at how can we now grow this further than just the two of us. And we looked into franchising. And like many people, I'd only heard of McDonald's, and didn't really understand what a franchise was. So we went and researched. And in the end, at the very core of it, Vicky and I wouldn't have set up the business on our own. We set up the business because we had each other to kind of bounce ideas off. And in the end, as soon as we understood what a franchise was, it was telling us, well, we can do this for other people. The people out there that haven't got a business partner, they can learn from us. We can fast track them because we've already made the mistakes, and we've learned so much and have continued to learn now over those 17, 18 years. And we basically put together, I mean, it's a little bit of a phrase, but a business in a box. It is everything you need, from the website and the business cards and all of those, the obvious things you think about. But I think tonight probably we're going to talk about a lot of things you don't think about. But at the core of it is our training and mentoring, so that you know who the customer is, where the customer is, how much do you charge, how do you sell to this customer, what sort of tasks do you do, how do you price, so many different things. So all sorts of different things, but the core of it is, yeah, McDonald's. Yes, we are a franchise just like McDonald's, but just a little bit friendlier, not quite that big at the moment, but the model effectively is, yeah, guiding you along the way to start your own business that you can then grow and run hopefully for many years.
Brilliant. And so you've explained that really well, but I'm also just interested for you to just share maybe a bit about some of the people who join Pink Spaghetti. So
Mm.
how many do you have, and maybe just a little bit about their backgrounds? Because I think what's really interesting is they come from such a variety of
I was going to
backgrounds.
say, there's the word again, variety. We use that a lot. So we have just over 50 franchises across the UK, various parts of the UK, and the type of person, people think that they've got to come from a virtual assistant, executive assistant background. They don't, although Hanni absolutely has. That is relatively unusual. The careers that people come from are just hugely varied. But the key thing that everybody has in common is that they are typically the doer in their friends and family. They're the organizer, they're the list maker. They want to be able to sort a problem, and they're very good at it. And that type of person is exactly who will shine within Pink Spaghetti. We can train on systems and customers and all of that sort of thing. But if you're not that sort of person at the very core, we can't make you that person. So we have got a whole network of very helpful, very lovely, friendly, proactive franchisees running their business. And the transferable skills they bring with them are just huge. But very rarely will it be, I know how to be a virtual assistant.
Great. And so examples of that are people who have come from events backgrounds, people who have come from finance backgrounds, and they find a way to
HR,
use
prison
those HR.
service.
Yeah,
I mean, just hugely varied,
yeah,
hugely varied.
yeah. And I think that's what makes it really interesting. So I think, as Caroline just said, a lot of people sort of think they have to come from an administrative background, and
Yeah,
you really
no,
don't. And that we're
not
now
at
in a
all. And
world.
yeah, Vicky and I didn't, and relatively few people in the network have.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's not a concern at all.
brilliant. Okay, so Hanni, I want to bring you in and hear your story, because I think that people really resonate with it. And I think maybe if we could just start by sort of your journey to Pink Spaghetti, like maybe just share what you were doing before you even set up as an independent VA, and then your journey into becoming a VA, and then we'll talk about how you moved on into Pink Spaghetti.
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. So I was working, I studied, let's start again, let's start from the beginning. I moved from Cornwall to London in my early 20s, as I think everyone does in Cornwall for a while. And I studied events and worked within the events industry for several years, working on festivals and conferences and galas and all sorts of really wonderful events. I did that for a few years and then realized um, I loved events and it was a lot of fun, but I needed a bit more flexibility in my life. My hours could be long, they could be 14-hour days, I could be sent abroad. There was all sorts of things going on. And I realized I just wanted a bit more flexibility in my life and a bit more time to myself and be able to kind of work when I want within reason. And so I looked into becoming a VA. I'm not quite sure where I came across it at that stage because I think it was quite early doors. It was sort of
Yeah.
pre-COVID times. I'm not sure even where I got the idea from. But I started looking into it and then yeah, so I set up myself. And
So
that's
what led? So when you say you set up as a VA, and actually it was really early on because I think that post COVID VAs become a term that everybody knows. But actually, when you
yeah,
did it, it wasn't really.
no.
And so that's really interesting. So when you say you set up as a VA, what did that entail for you at that time? Like how did you set up, and what were you doing in terms of getting clients, and what were you offering people at the time when you were independent?
Um, I setting up a company. I started getting clients originally through my old work, through events and people I knew. I actually got some people on like people per hour and things like that. I was
Yeah.
offering a lot. I think I was saying yes to everything and then figuring it out in the background. And I forgot. Sorry, what the other question was.
No, just really how did you get your clients and how did you set up? Because I know that one of the reasons that you joined Pink Spaghetti was
Yeah.
because you didn't want to go back and sort of do all of that yourself. So I just wanted to get a sense of all those things that you were doing for yourself. So you have to set up as a company, go out and
Yeah.
find your own clients,
Yeah.
decide on what
All
you're
the
offering, think about how you charge and the pricing. So I was just trying to get a sense of all the things that you were thinking about when you were setting up on your own independently.
all of that. I think there was quite a lot of winging it, certainly at the
Yeah.
early stages. I knew that this is what I wanted to do. I didn't necessarily know exactly how to do all of it. And there was a lot of trial and error. And I was putting myself as AVA and just kind of agreeing to everything, figuring it out in the background. There is there's a lot of background noise. There's a lot of all the legal side, the legalities, the social media, the figuring out the clients that I do want to work with. Trying to market, trying to get clients. There's an awful lot when you're trying to do it yourself. um yeah.
That the best way that you just described that is winging it. And I think that
Yeah.
like a lot of people a lot of people will really resonate with that. Because I think that's the
Mm.
truth. I think when you set up a
Totally.
business, whatever the business is, I do think that there's a lot of winging it. And you're like, I need to get clients, and you're busy backpedaling, going, well, what do I need? Do I need this? Do I need
Mm.
policies? And like sometimes you don't even know what you need. And that's actually one of the things that we'll talk about with Big Spaghetti, because you don't even know what you need until they say, actually, this is something that you need. Okay,
Yeah.
so you set up as a VA, and then did you leave and then go back into employment before you found Pink Spaghetti? What was that next stage like for you?
Yeah, so I did that for a couple of years and then COVID happened. So I tried to carry on for a little while, but COVID happened. I had my daughter, we moved to Cornwall, I built a house. So there was a whole lot of things going on. So I put the VA stuff to the side with the idea that I would start it up again further down the line. Um, After I had my daughter, I needed to go back to work. The VA thing was always in the peripheral, but again, there's so much stuff to get set up and sorted with it, and I just needed to get back working. So I worked at an accountant's for a couple of years. Um, yeah, just to work around my daughter, like I think lots of new mums do. It was, the hours and everything were great. And so I did that for 2 years. And then I got made redundant. And so for me, that was kind of the kick up the bum, as you say, to Sorry. The clock's going. That was kind of the kick up the bum to do the VA stuff. I've been thinking about it for such a long time, but I would have probably continued working, and it was just there. I was talking to people, discussing that I'd wanted to get back to it, but not actually committing and doing it. And so then being made redundant that was the kicker. That was the
catalyst for you
yeah,
back to
absolutely.
thinking I want to go back.
Yeah,
Okay, so I think this is the interesting bit because you were like, okay, so I want to do it again, and
yeah.
I'd like to run my own business again, but I'm not sure that I want to do it again without support. So what? So I'm just interested in the thinking that led you to think, well, I do want to do this, but what led you then to think actually a franchise might be an option for you? What was going on there?
Well, I actually did start trying to set it up myself again. I did start trying to look into the processes. I did start looking into company name and all of those stuff that you have to do. But I just realized, as I said earlier, there is just so much background noise, background stuff that needs doing in order to get up and running. And I didn't want to go through the trial and error of last time. I wanted to kind of hit the ground running. I didn't know a whole lot about franchising to begin with. It's just something that I'd heard of, and so I thought it was worth looking into. And then when I realised all of the support and everything that comes with it, then that was absolutely the way to go for me. That was, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Caroline, we'll talk about this, but there is an investment in joining a franchise, but we'll talk about how you make that back and etc. But I just was interested as well because I think this is going to be going on in people's heads when they think, well, you'd already done it before, then you decided to invest. Like, was there a moment where you were thinking, or I know that actually when we spoke, you said your husband was saying, why are you spending the money on a franchise? You've done this before. Why can't you do it again?
Yeah,
So I'm just interested in that kind of thinking because I'm sure that you thought long and hard about whether or not you wanted to make an actual investment in this and decided to. So,
yeah.
I'm just thinking, did you have those thoughts where you're like, is it worth it? What am I going to get? And kind of what that thinking was.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, there was a lot of discussions with my partner, my family, everybody. They all knew I had already done it previously. So, why did I need to pay all this money if I've already done it? But and I thought it myself to begin with. I absolutely, I had to question that. It was, a fair bit when I'd already done what I'd already done. But once I started speaking to the team and going through the process, the prospectus, the calls and things that I'd had, I realised that everything that came with it and what you got for that was invaluable, and it would absolutely help me hit the ground running. So all of that background noise, all of those things, if I tried to do it myself again, it would have been months down the line until I could actually start going. And even then I would still be winging it probably. So whereas these
So you
guys, I knew
decided,
that,
yes, going for the
yeah,
support. So I think this is kind of
absolutely.
a natural way for Caroline actually to bring you back in here. Because I think that what Hanni's saying is that it was all the support that she needed and the training so that she wasn't winging it and to give her the confidence to kind of come back in. So I think at this point it would be quite helpful maybe for you to share what some of that support and training looks like for people who might be thinking, well, what is it that you actually
Yeah, okay,
give
no problem.
people?
So I think it goes from incredibly structured to being very specific to the person. So the beginning is the very structured because people don't know what they don't know. We need to work out where their skills are, what they need training in. So the structure takes you through from everything to do with setting up the business. So setting up with HMRC and bank accounts and things like that. We get you completely set up in our systems, and you've got a number of different tasks that you would do pre-launch to get you ready, and it's all online at your own pace but with the team behind you. So with that, as soon as you become a franchisee, that team is there. Phone calls, email, we're there. We're always hopping on screen shares with people. Once you launch, and you launch typically with a cohort, and Hanni, you had another four. You're one of our biggest cohorts, so five of you all at the same stage, which I think is also an amazing thing. And I know people get value from that. Once you start, we give you training over 3 to 4 weeks, live sessions but remote, over Zoom or Google Meet, taking you through every aspect of your business, how to market, loads about social media, bookkeeping, sales, networking, and it goes on. Once that is done, after a couple of weeks, we get the cohort into the office, and we have 2 weeks face to face, and we cover headshots. So we get a brilliant photographer in, who you certainly know when he's in the building. Great
Yes, you
personality,
do.
really gets the best out of our cohort, because people buy from people, and images are really important, and we go through lots of different training there. And at that point, people are generally kind of ready to go off and start flying, start networking. Some people may have got a quote out before then, some people are starting networking. Everybody at that stage is very much on their own journey, because everybody comes from different backgrounds, has got different lives at home, different responsibilities, and that's where our mentoring then and support starts being really individual. But there is
Yeah.
always structured training for the first year. Every month we take our newbies through structured training. We have network calls all the time, so they can join those power hours and different webinars about different things, upskilling, just communicating with the network. And then in our second year for newbies, we have our pink program, which is basically the kind of beefing up running a business. You've now learned all the basics. Can you become a business owner more than a VA? And how much training and support people want from these points is up to them. If some people are sailing and don't want to hear from us, that's fine. We'll just have a regular touch point. And if people need support, it can be weekly, it can be daily. That's, there is nothing standard once we've finished our training, really.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's the comprehensiveness, if that's a word, of what you offer. So it's everything from systems and processes and infrastructure and invoicing to actually some of the services that you offer. And
Yeah.
I know, Hanni, just bringing you back in, you were saying
Mhm.
when we were talking earlier about how there are certain services that you could start offering clients that maybe you couldn't offer as confidently before when you had done it on your own. And so
Mhm.
it would just be good to get a sense from you, maybe, of some of the things that you learned going through that training with Pink Spaghetti, both in terms of like some of the stuff that now you can more confidently offer your clients that you couldn't before. Do you want to share some of those things? Because I think that was really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's lots of it. And again, to start with, I thought I knew most of it and that, how much was I going to learn because I'd kind of done a lot of it. But actually, the training is so in depth and detailed that I came away thinking, oh my goodness, I didn't know that, and I didn't know I could use that. I didn't know I could do that. Things like social media is a huge thing. I obviously did dabble in it when I did what I did before, but I absolutely wasn't confident in it. And now I can confidently say that it's something I happily offer, and I am very confident in what I'm doing. There's just a whole array of things, even down to the systems, the CRM systems. Obviously, I was aware of CRM systems, but it's not something that I'd used particularly in detail before, and it's now something that I probably wouldn't be able to do without. And they have broken everything down so well. We're basically spoon-fed all the information that we need, and it's just been great.
One of the things when we were talking before was you were saying that some of the things you didn't even know you needed, like policies and documents
Yes.
and legalities and those types of things. What are the things that I'm just interested to know? What are the things that you kind of didn't even realize that you knew that you needed until you knew that you needed them?
A lot of those things, really, all those kind of, again, background noise, those are things that if I was doing it on my own, I would have had to figure out or find myself, or I might not have even come across them. And they would have been things that I needed, your GDPRs, the AI policies, that's a big thing now. All of those things, I either wouldn't have had them or done them or known about them, or it would have been so far down the line, or it would have taken me a long time to research them. And we are fortunate within the franchise that gets done for us, and we get an email or we get a notification, we get the documents, it's all done and ready for you. So all of those things that I know, and I'm now aware of how important they are, but they are things that I didn't know enough about previously. And again, that's been amazing. There's no stress there then. I'm just focusing on the business because those things are already taken care of for you.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's really the point, isn't it? It's like everything that you don't know, either you asked and there's someone there to ask, and you've got a cohort and you've got people back in Pink Spaghetti to ask those questions to. But it's like
Yeah.
just giving you that confidence that you can offer different services. And I know from people who I know who are working as VAs, quite often they get asked to do things and they've got no idea actually how to do it. Things
Yeah.
like, sometimes with CMS systems or doing email marketing, and they're totally winging it, as you've just said, because they don't really have a clue and they're messing things up as they go. And so knowing that you've got that backup is actually really important, because you don't want to mess up with a client. But also, what I think is
Yeah.
really great about Pink Spaghetti is that you've got the cohort, you've got other franchisees. So one of the things that I know that happens is that when you get something that you think, actually, I don't know that I can do this, you can
Mhm.
hand it over to someone else in the Pink Spaghetti network. So it means that you can still service your clients. I'm just interested to understand how that works in practice. Maybe Caroline, do you want to jump in there, because
Yeah.
Hanni's
Yeah,
still quite
Hanni's
new?
yet to do that, so
Yeah,
I won't drop her in this one. Yeah, we call it cross franchising, and actually, when we started franchising, we didn't even think about it being a good thing, and it's one of the best things about the network. Everybody owns their own territory, so nobody is competing, and therefore, what naturally happens is everybody wants to help each other. So we have a way of communicating where people can just say, I've got a customer that's asked this. Anybody, do this. And the amount of times we see somebody reply and go, yeah, I've done that. Let's jump on a call. So that happens. And then you can decide whether you want to upskill and learn something or cross franchise it. So
yeah,
if you run out of capacity, you don't fancy the work, or you simply think that is beyond what I want to be able to deliver, and I'm only going to be asked for it once, you can just cross franchise it and you get a proportion of that invoice, and the franchisee that's doing the work gets a bigger proportion of it. And it works really well. We have thousands and thousands of pounds worth of cross franchise work, happening every month.
there's just work coming in for that can be passed over,
Yeah,
and that's it's such a great way of getting work without going for work through the
yeah,
franchise network.
yeah.
And also, I know that sometimes you get things that come in directly to Pink Spaghetti,
Yes,
and then you can pass that on
we
to.
totally. We will put it out and just say, right, this is what the customer is after. It's a very particular skill, and we'll just put it out to the network.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, it's
brilliant.
great.
And the other thing I wanted to talk about, because obviously I know that this is on everybody's mind, is getting clients. And that's the hard part, isn't it? So
Yeah, absolutely. And getting clients when you start a business is hard.
yeah,
It always has been, it always will be. And everybody thinks they're the first people coming going, how am I going to get the clients? That's what I'm worried about. You think, yes, that is what everybody's worried about. Of course you are. There are no guarantees, but we do know who the client is, what they want, how to price, and that is why our training is so comprehensive. We know that it comes through networking and social media. So we talk about how to utilize social media so people will want to contact you, how to use search terms within social media so you come up in searches and Google, how to network effectively, because many people that come to us, in fact, probably most people that come to us, either don't know what networking is or aren't used to doing it to sort of sell themselves, if you like. Certainly, Vicky and I had no experience when we started, so we now bring external people in to train so that actually you feel relatively comfortable when you go networking to meet people, and have a process following that to go and support them. So yeah, it of course is a worrying time, but you'll never get an oversell. We will tell you the good and the bad so that you can make a decision, and we will always share sort of real life figures. Once you've gone into an application with us, we'll always share real life figures showing you what's happened, because some people fly, some people are slower. It's based on so many different things, but the support and the mentoring is there to look at, right, what's working, what's not, and how can we support.
yeah. So Hanni, back to you then. How are you feeling? Because you've obviously just come out of the training. You've done this before in terms of getting clients, but particularly now thinking about going out to get new clients, now that you're part of Pink Spaghetti, have you found the training to help you think about marketing yourself and how you're going to network? How have you found that? And do you think that sets you up quite differently to how you were working before when you were independent?
Oh, 100%. I'm more confident in what I'm saying, and in the training we are trained on how, what, where, who, to network. We've got to practice pitches and things like that, and I now know, or I feel, apologies for the flock, I now feel confident going into networking and what I'm talking about, rather than being uh feeling a bit, obviously it's nervous. It's always nerve-wracking trying to talk to people, trying to get clients and things like that. But I'm confident that I will get all the clients that I need and the right clients, and I know what to say and who to talk to and all of those things. So I'm not concerned, not like I would have done previously on my own. And because
You feel,
if I, sorry, carry on.
sorry, no, go on.
If I think that something hasn't worked, or I do start stressing, or I haven't got the clients, or I've been to networking and I haven't got the one-to-ones I want, the support team are there. We'll have a call, we'll talk through it, maybe what could work better next time, or what did I maybe not do, and things like that. And so I always know there's always an opportunity to grow, and to know how to go into the next networking better and even more equipped, and try and work out what's working.
Yeah.
And
So how are
I know,
you? Oh, go
sorry,
on, sorry.
sorry, Katie. I know when we started, and I don't know if Hanny felt this, that sometimes you'd be trying to get work whilst also being petrified that somebody might actually ask you to do something. I always remember that feeling. And we have a kind of rule through the network. It's just like, just say yes, and then pick up the phone and go, how do you do
Oh,
this?
I still do that now,
Yeah,
Caroline. I'm like terrified of lots of things, but you've just got to say yes, and then you work out how to do it.
yeah,
That's
it
just
can
how
be
it
done.
is.
It's all
Yeah.
doable.
Which
So
again
you've all
is,
got the franchise to support you. Go on, Hanny.
I was going to say, which again is good within the network. So whereas before I used to say yes to everything and probably be winging it and trying to figure out how to, uh, oh,
It's all right,
you
you're back.
frozen.
Yeah, fine. Just talk. It will sort itself out.
There we go. I don't know what I was saying now. Oh, within the network, whereas previously I would have just been saying yes to everything and then panicking and researching and figuring it out, and how am I going to do this? Can I do this? I've got the cohort and we speak all the time, and actually we're just arranging a monthly Zoom so we can all just catch up and see how things are. I've got the wider network that I can ask or pass it over, or how do I do this? And I've also got all of the support team as well. So um winging it, but on a slightly more confident level than maybe, because I know
Yeah, I
some
think also at the
time.
beginning you said something about, I didn't even know what to call myself. And I think
Mm,
part of just being part of something makes you feel greater than being on your own. So knowing
yeah,
that you're part of something that's robust and has weight and a brand and people know who they are means that you're already credible. And so you can sort of go out feeling credible and not like,
And,
oh, I'm
and
totally winging
actually,
it. Yeah.
Katie, can I step in there? We see so many, and I do think this is probably a female thing. We see so many incredibly capable, brilliant women come into our network and then get hit with imposter syndrome. And actually a lot of the mentoring and support we give is, do you know what? You do know this, you can do this. People don't know what's going on in your head, thinking, ah. So, that's just as valuable, I think, about being part of a network.
Yeah. One of the things you sort of said to me, Hanny, when we were prepping for this and we were just having a pre-talk is that you said that even putting your prices up, because I think that we lack confidence sometimes. And one of the things I found really
yes.
interesting is that you said actually I wasn't charging as much when I was independent. And so it'd be just interesting to hear kind of how that plays out. Because I know that Pink Spaghetti help you to think about what your pricing should be and to make you feel like you're worth what your pricing should be. So it'd be just interesting to hear that from you.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I increased my prices once, but once when I was doing it before, but it was not as high as it should be, and it absolutely wasn't as high as I know other VAs were doing. And I was in London, and I was working with lots of people that absolutely could have afforded to have um, paid the extra. Um, Probably a bit of that imposter syndrome. Am I good enough? I'm saying yes to everything, but I know in the background I'm figuring it out. All of those things. Whereas actually now I am confident in what I'm doing, and I know that the work that I'm doing is absolutely worth the money that I'm charging. And like you said, there's a lot of weight behind the brand. I feel more professional going out there and talking
Yeah.
to people. Um, I just all of it. It's just, and and having Pink Spaghetti name in itself is great. The amount of times people have said, "Oh, I've heard of you. Well, I know Pink Spaghetti," and that in itself has been a bit of a
Opening
confidence.
doors.
Yeah, it opens
Yeah.
doors and people know you. They know about the brand already. So it's no longer just little old me and my business trying to get myself out there. I'm already kind of a bit ahead and makes me much more confident in doing so. So I know now that what we're charging is absolutely deserved.
So you should, absolutely. And so you just talked about that community aspect. And again, that's something that's quite different from being on your own, and how much you lean into that support from other franchisees, and how have you found that? Are you finding that people are willing to share their experiences and their ideas with you? Are you like leaning on them quite a lot? Do you talk to other people in the different franchises quite a lot? How does that look like for you now?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's amazing because obviously we've got we are our own business, we are our own entity, but we have got, I absolutely feel like I'm part of a team, a wider team. The franchisees all over, I know if I picked up the phone, they would all happily help me with whatever it is that I needed. And closer to that, I've got the cohort and we speak all the time. We've got WhatsApps and we chat. And like I said, we're setting up monthly Zooms so we can just chat things through and see how things are going. And we've all talked about meeting up. And yeah, the network is great, feeling like you're part of something. There is, there's a big team of people behind you. Yeah, it's really great.
Brilliant. Caroline, I think it'd be good now just to talk maybe a little bit about what we've talked about the different franchises, but I just think to give people an idea of what that means. In fact, people listening, when we asked you to register, we did actually ask you for your postcodes. And the reason why we asked you is because the way that this franchises work and the way Pink Spaghetti works is that they have different territories. And Caroline, I think it might be useful for you just to share that and what that means. Hanni, you're in Cornwall, aren't you?
I'm in Cornwall, yeah.
Yeah, so that's your territory.
Yeah, up to a certain area of Cornwall. Yes, we've got,
Yeah.
yeah, I've got my
Okay.
territory.
So Caroline, maybe come in and just
Yeah.
sort of explain what that means.
Yeah, absolutely. So in essence, everybody owns a set of postcodes in very simple form, but actually it tends to be right. Well, they own one or two towns, and we try and make that territory around where the franchisee actually is, but it'll depend on what's been sold and what hasn't. But you will own a set of postcodes, which means you can go and market your business, solely you, in those towns. So you build relationships with the business owners, you go networking. Any inquiries that come in through the website, they have to go to you because that's your postcode. And you've got neighbours as well, although I think Hanni's are a little bit further away. But many of the network have got neighbours and they try and kind of meet up. So yeah, it is, with franchising, you can either have a non-exclusive area or an exclusive area, and ours, unbeknownst to us, I think was the best way. People own their territory. They're not going to meet a competing VA that's as well trained as Pink Spaghetti in networking, and yet they've got the benefit of the network that they can go and ask for help, which is great.
Yeah. So I was looking at the postcodes actually before yesterday, and I
Yeah,
noticed that there were quite a few people in the Harrow area that was available.
yeah.
And I think that if you are interested in this, then ask for a prospectus. But I
Yeah.
think is there something that where they can check whether their territory is
Yeah, I mean,
available?
you can have a look at if you go to the contact us page on the website, there's a map and lots of pink pins in it where people are. Actually, if you look at a franchise opportunity and you're interested and you want to have a prospectus, fill out the form. The first thing we do is check the postcode because we won't send a prospectus if the territory is owned. We'll make contact. You'll have a lovely email back. So you'll get that contact, but also it could be that you might live quite close to a border. So it could be that your territory is taken, but you're 2 miles away from the next territory. And we will know that. So we will look at your postcode and make that judgment. And if we can get you a prospectus to start giving you some information, we will do.
Yeah, and also even if your postcode is taken, I mean, who were we talking to last time when we were doing this? And the two franchisees have joined together, haven't they?
Yeah,
Because they're like
yeah,
neighbouring, and now they've
yeah.
set up together, and there's
Yeah,
all
that's a
sorts of
first
lovely
for us.
stories.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know it's
that's
a
brilliant.
first, but yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, so if you are interested, obviously reach out to Caroline and to the team to get a prospectus. They won't send you one, as she said, unless the territory is available. But I think that what we've always said is that we're not here to sell you becoming a franchisee or to buy into a franchise. This is not at all a heavy sell. We're sharing this as an opportunity. Hanni's sharing her story. It's got to be right for you. It's got to be right for Pink Spaghetti. There's got to be, all of those things. And I think we've always said
Yeah, I
that. So
think
we're
it
definitely not here to tell you
absolutely.
this is the way.
It's not right for everybody, and it is right for some, and it's a two-way process. Like this
Yeah,
is a two-way relationship, and as you said, we've got to be right for you, but you've got to be right for us. Um, by requesting a prospectus, nothing happens other than you get more information, and there's loads of case studies and it's all sorts of things, and then you can book a discovery call, and again on the discovery call, that discovery call is yours. What questions you want to ask, that's entirely up to you, and everybody's different. You will never get a hard sell. It is tough starting a business. We know what we're great at. We're never going to guarantee you're going to get customers in the first 3 weeks, but we'll talk about the pros and the cons so that you can, at least when you've made a decision, and if that decision is it's not right for you or you want to go it on your own, at least you've found out, met the team. And if it's not right for you now, it could be in a couple of years. And we've had many of those scenarios as well.
yeah. And also speaking to people who have done it, speaking to Hanni and speaking to others who have done it is a really good way of finding out whether this could be right for you.
Yeah, and we always say don't contact people direct just because our franchisees are busy. But when we are in the process, if it does look like the right opportunity for you and you look right for us, we will put you in touch with franchisees, and that could be somebody that lives close by. It could be somebody that's got the same age children as you. Whatever the scenario is, some people want to speak to a long-standing franchisee, others want to speak to a brand new one. We'll listen, and that happens as part of that process.
Brilliant. Thanks, Caroline. So, Hanni, I think we're going to close in a minute. If anyone has got any questions, do pop them in the chat. You've all been awfully quiet the whole way through. I haven't seen one question. But
I think this
thank
is
you
our
all.
quietest yet.
I literally haven't seen a question, but if anyone has got one, please do pop it in the chat. But I just wanted to say to you, Hanni, actually, what would you say to someone? So if someone is on this listening either now or probably on replay, because a lot of people will be watching this on replay, what would you say to somebody who is sort of trying to decide between setting up independently or thinking about joining a franchise from your perspective, having done both?
What advice would I give? Um, I don't know. I think don't be afraid to don't have to you don't have to figure everything out on your own. And I think that's what I felt like, you're doing a business, you've got to do it all on your own and you've got to kind of struggle and figure it out. I just make sure that you don't think that. Oh,
You okay?
sorry, my computer went funny. Um, I don't really know what advice would I give to somebody that wants to be a VA, do it separately. I don't know. Think about the way that you want your business to go, I suppose. Don't underestimate the value of your skills and the things that you can bring to it, because there's a lot of people that want to do it and might not think they can, or they've come from a crazy different background and it's not something that they're going to be able to do. I think it's for most people, if you want to do it, then it absolutely is. And I also don't be afraid to invest in support or learning, be it through a franchise, which obviously I will advocate for, or any other route. For me, that's been invaluable. It saved me a huge amount of time. It's given me the confidence to hit the ground running, and yeah, it's just helped me build my business with confidence. And I think that is the biggest thing, is to just don't just try and struggle and do it on your own, basically, probably.
Brilliant. Thank you. And I mean, I hate leaving the cost until the end, but I do think it's really important to cover it. We're very, very transparent about it. Buying into a franchise is buying into a franchise. You get a lot of support and a lot of guidance and a lot of stuff. And obviously, there is a price attached to that. And Caroline, just share as you always do, very transparently
Yeah.
what that looks like.
Yeah, always open on about pricing, whether it's customers or franchisees, and it's on the website. But price is 8,995 plus VAT. Typically, and there's every scenario, typically people will make that back within about 6 to 8 months, break even, and from there they start to grow their business, and hopefully build it as an asset. This isn't a job. This is a business. There is a difference, and you will start to employ people, build the business, and eventually in future that's for yours to sell on, as with any other business. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it's just on that. I think it's really important what you just said, which is this isn't just a job. You're buying into really a business that you're going to
Yeah,
grow as a
very
long-term
much so.
investment.
Yeah,
And a lot of people who I've seen do this, and obviously you've got lots of stories, but from what I've seen is that people start on their own and then they grow and then they bring in associates and then they build teams. And
Bill,
it can be as
totally.
big as you want or as small as you want, and you can work as
Yeah,
hard as you want and earn as much as you want. It's one of those
yeah,
things in business, isn't it? You can decide what you want this to be,
yeah.
but
We've
this
got every
is an amazing
scenario.
opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if you
some
want to
people want
build
to
a
work
business.
40 hours a week. Some people want to work 3 hours a day and build a team to do the work. Again, every scenario, we've seen it all.
Yeah. And what I'd say is if you're interested, I just super encourage you to have a chat with the team, and see if it's right for you or not, get a prospectus, but just start those conversations. I've seen loads of people do this, and I just get inspired every time I have a chat with another person from Pink Spaghetti. It is an incredible opportunity. I support it wholly because I totally believe in it. It's credible and amazing, and not because I'm being told to say this, because I only bring things to our community that I really believe in, and I do. So I love everything that they stand for, and I said that at the beginning. Our values are very aligned,
Very
and I
much
do
so.
think that this is a very, very an incredible opportunity for people who want to find a way to set up a business without doing it on their own.
We
So
won't
with
force everybody to go onto a live video environment a few weeks
They
after finishing
might. They
training.
won't force you, but they might ask you to.
Yeah, thanks for
And he's
that.
like,
More
thanks so
happy.
much for that, Caroline. I've literally just come through my training and I'm already on a live video. But this is the best way for people to find out about it.
It
Anyway,
is.
we don't have any questions. You've all been wonderful. Thank you for listening.
Get in touch if you've got any questions. Be very happy.
If
We're very
anyone
nice
wants to just
people. So yeah.
give us a little thumbs up, just to show us all that you're alive and still listening, that would be lovely. But with that, I'm going to say goodnight. I'm going to go and sit with a fan on me and drink some very cold iced water. I hope you're all enjoying the heat wave as much as me. Do reach out. Hanni, thank you so much for sharing your
Yeah, you're
Thank
story.
amazing,
you for
Ellie.
having
Thank you.
me.
Yeah, you're brilliant. And Caroline, as ever, thank you too
No,
for joining
thank you,
and giving
Ellie.
us some more info on the opportunity. If anyone wants to reach out, we'll pop in. We're going to send out an email tomorrow anyway with links. So we'll obviously there'll be everything that you need there. All right,
Yeah.
have a good night, everyone. Thanks so
Thanks so
Thank you
much.
much,
so much.
everybody.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.